Viewers, thank you for reconnecting with us. It's the top of 6, and we can tell you some of the provisional turnout numbers, voter turnout numbers in the South. Remember, this is a very, very crucial election because all of the South, almost all of the South, will have completed its voting by the end of the day today, which is approximately now. Now, we have numbers for you which we're going to project on your screens. These are turnout figures cutting across the states that have gone to the poll in the South. We're talking about Tamil Nadu, where all 38 seats of the Lok Sabha are polling, save one. You also have a situation in Puducherry, where you have turnout figures, as well as Karnataka. Let's have a quick look at those numbers, viewers, on your screens coming up there. There you can see these are also figures that we are going to look at and break down. So these are also figures with respect to the middle class, because these are really overwhelmingly seats first in Bangalore. So let's have a look at this. This is Bangalore, Bangalore North, Bangalore Central, Bangalore South, overall Bangalore, Karnataka. And look at the numbers as they stack up, viewers. These are turnout figures, and you can see that in 2009, at the end of the polls, 46% had cast their votes in this constituency. In 2014, the number went up by 10%. As of now, it's 39.0%, and this is till about 3 p.m. That's what we are being told. Bangalore Central, there you can see pretty much consistent with the other two pockets of Bangalore. Again, here you see the 10% jump between 2009 and 2014. Here, Bangalore South, look at the numbers, still in the low 40s. There you can see, this is early 30s. Overall, Bangalore, 38.87%, which is an average of all of that. Karnataka, the overall number for the state is at 49%. That's till 3 p.m. viewers. This is the number that you have to look out for, because we are going to be obviously updating this data. I'm going to come out to you, Nalin, in just 30 seconds. I just want to talk about a couple of themes that emerge from this, because look at this. This is the entire picture for Karnataka as of now. So you can already begin to see, viewers, that the urban pockets of this state, the urban pockets of this state are not in sync with the overall picture of the state. Languishing. And this is true of pretty much every election. Here you can see, viewers, 55.9%, 55% here, 55% here, 56% here, and the overall average for the state was in 2014 was 67. So it was a drift by about 12%, plus minus a percent here and there. Here again in the region of 45%, there you can see as an average, and the state average was 58%. So again short. And this is really the matter of concern. As we give you the picture for the state, this will be a matter of grave concern. Nalin coming up now. Nalin, just talk us through, what do these numbers mean? Turnout, we know in urban pockets, unfortunately, low, which points to voter apathy. Yeah. Does the middle class even care? But that's a separate conversation to have. What do you make from the general trend as of now? Many people say this is flaccid polling.
The first point to make, Rahul, is that these are numbers for Bangalore.
Yes.
Now
this is the Karnataka overall state.
So I want to make a point in Bangalore first.
Yes.
Remember that these seats of Bangalore, with the exception of Bangalore rural, have consistently voted the BJP back for the last 3 elections.
Okay.
Not just 2014, 2009, and before that as well.
Right.
And 2004 as well. Now these numbers are significantly lower than what it was in 2014.
Okay.
You probably might increase by 8-9%. That will still be 4-5% likely to be less than last time. Right. That shows lack of enthusiasm completely. Now overall,
why is it this? Are they preferring their vacation, their long vacation, over their right to vote? Is that what's happening in urban? Because we know this is a long weekend.
Well, typically the voter turnouts in Bangalore, in the constituencies of Bangalore, have been 5 to 6 percentage points lower than the overall percentage of Karnataka
on that
overall.
Point,
anyway,
I then want to say, while the middle class happens to be the most vocal, it also happens to be the most apathetic when it comes to voting. So don't blame anyone else but yourselves, voters, for the problems Bengaluru faces. And when those problems are not addressed, you had the power to punish those who have let you down. When those lakes froth, when the city streets flood, when there is encroachment, rampant encroachment that is choking off the green spaces. I want to go across to Madhav. One second. Yes,
Rahul.
one data point coming up from Nalin before I go across. Yes.
Last time was 10 percentage points higher in turnout than all the urban seats of Bangalore.
There you go. There you go. And that's really what we need to be looking at. Overall, Bangalore, there at 55.9. We're nowhere there till 3 p.m. 2.5 hours of polling still to go. So the number might correct, but it will certainly not correct to the state average of 67% or even 49.26%. So I just want to go straight across to Madhav. Madhav, this is really the problem of urban Indian mentality. Will not come out to vote, but will have a problem about every issue and an opinion on every issue.
Well, absolutely, Rahul. I completely agree with you. The divide between urban and rural India when it comes to the turnout is stark, and perhaps nowhere as stark as it is here in Bengaluru. But I had a very interesting response this morning when I spoke to Mr. Narayan Murthy, who's a very respected figure over here. And he came out to actually say that I wouldn't be too surprised at this because Bangalore has a very significant chunk of people who work in IT. And those in IT, not just get displaced or change their jobs very frequently to different parts of the country or even get posted abroad, because of which a lot of those registered here are not able to cast their vote, and also a lot of migrant population, which would involve people actually casting their votes back home in perhaps another part of the country. So he explained it this way, saying that he is not too concerned about this, but certainly urges all those young and old to come out and cast their votes in large numbers. And also, Rahul, just one quick point to respond to what Nalin was saying. In the last two elections, apart from 2019, in the last 2 or 3 elections at least, we've seen a 3-cornered fight take place in Bengaluru. This is the first time that it is not a direct 3-corner fight. The JDS and the Congress have all put up candidates, and this has benefited BJP candidates such as H.T. Sangliana, a former police commissioner who was a candidate of the BJP as well. So there have been all sorts of such permutations and combinations that have been working on ground over here. But as you rightly put it, the numbers are certainly disappointing, that they are only around 50%, a good 20 to 30% less than other parts of Karnataka.
Well, let me quickly tell you, we've updated now these figures to 5 p.m. as we're getting more and more information. So the real-time updation of the numbers. And again, this is the average as of now for Karnataka. Till 5 p.m., 61.84. And for Bangalore, it's 47.63. There's still a drift of these numbers of 2014. Now, 2014 was a wave election. We can understand that the Modi wave was sweeping through, and many people might have been enthused by that. Is that an indication this time that some chemistry is not quite happening? What is going on here?
One data point to answer your question, Rahul.
Yeah.
Even though 67% was the turnout for Karnataka as a whole in 2014, in the seats that have gone to polls today, with the exception of these Bangalore seats, the voter turnout was much higher. It was in the region of 70 to 75% across most of the other seats of Karnataka which have gone today, about 10 odd seats. So if the 61%, even if it goes up by 6, 7, 8%, it will still be lower based on what the number is seeing now.
It's looking like that. It's looking as if we are not going to even hit the overall average for the state of Karnataka.
So what this means is that that there is a general kind of apathy. There is no, people are not coming out. There's no one overriding issue which is driving people to come out and vote in some kind of a wave.
How does one now interpret that? Let's go straight across to more of our reporters on the ground. I'm joined by Imran. I'm joined by Deepak. Imran, over to you first. Empty streets behind you. Where exactly are you positioned right now, and what's the turnout in the constituency that you're in?
Well, Rahul, I'm in Mandya right now, and we saw that the very electric campaign here between Sumalata and Chief Minister's son Nikhil Kumaraswamy, but a disappointing start started off in Mandya. Even after 11 a.m., there was only close to around 11% voting which happened here, and as we saw the latest at the 3 p.m., it's close to around 40%, and we have to wait for that update now, which is 5 p.m. We'll get the update now in a short while from now, a total what is the percentage of voting in Mandya. many people are reading it different ways. If the voter turnout is low, is the vote going against Nikhil Kumaraswamy or it is going for Sumalata? We have yet to, we can't conclusively reduce a conclusion over it. But similarly, we saw that compared to 2014, where we saw more than 67% votage per turnout, which happened across Karnataka.
Yes.
This time, at least close to around 10% is less what we are seeing right now. They're going by the trends right now.
Well, that's still about 3 p.m. as you're saying. We're going to try and update that number for you on Monday because we're getting inputs also coming straight in. But discouraging. It's going to be discouraging for all contenders. Everyone was hoping that these voters would come out in droves because any party which successfully, Nalin, successfully mobilizes the cadre, and the BJP is good at doing that. In Mandya, of course, it's supporting the independent there, Sumanlata. Now, if it succeeds in doing so, then it will stand to gain, even in a low voter turnout situation.
Absolutely. I think the key point to make is that the BJP's vote is far more concentrated in specific regions of Karnataka, coastal Karnataka, and the areas in the west largely. The JDS and Congress is far more dispersed.
Should I just bring in Jay? Jay, cephalogist, been studying these numbers for years altogether. Jay, what do you make of this flaccid turnout, so to speak, in Karnataka as of now, especially in the urban areas?
Rahul, let's look at it a little chronologically. 2009 was in a way a listless or waveless election. You look at the turnouts in 2009. We have about 45% in Bangalore, the urban areas. 2013 is in a way was a high-pitched battle because urban areas, that is urban Bangalore, which had many BJP strongholds, Rajaji, Malleshwaram, Rajaji Nagar, Malleshwaram. There was a strong pitched battle by the BJP to defend the BJP government, and it brought out voters. So again, the turnout there was high. If you look at the same assembly constituencies, you group by Lok Sabha and look at the 2013 assembly election turnouts, it's about 59, 56, 55, not bad. The same turnout is repeated in 2014, 55, 55, 56, which is again a sort of get the Modi in election. We need to shoo the Prime Minister into power. Now, this is apparently an election without an agenda, without a particular desire to shoo out somebody or shoo in somebody. Moreover, in all the previous elections, there were 3 contenders, all of them, even the JDS has great presence along the outskirts of Bangalore in the rural areas, which have now become a part of the greater Bangalore metropolitan region. So there's a push by 3 parties to get their voters out. Now, there is no wave, no shoe in, shoe out, and there are just 2 formations. I think all that put together summarizes why the turnout should actually fall.
Well, let me also bring in Deepak. Deepak, very quickly, you find yourself also in the heart of Bangalore. Once again, I see not much bustle behind you. What's the polling percentage in the constituency you're in?
Well, Rahul, now it's going to rain in Bengaluru. So while all the 3 main constituencies, central, north and south, are dwindling around the 50% mark, we wouldn't see it rise beyond the 55% mark. But one interesting point to make here, Rahul, is what I've been speaking to a few BJP people and the Congress people. To take, for example, the Jayanagar bypolls that were held. Now, the minority population here came out in large numbers just a few months ago and voted. And it was, the majority that voted in a particularly lesser number, about 45%. Now, what this would essentially mean is that, while speaking to several political analysts here, that the BJP will lose if the overall turnout is much lesser, because the minorities are definitely going to come out in large numbers because the consolidation against the BJP is high in these regions. So if the overall numbers are not great, that would only mean that the majority in these particular constituencies have not come out and voted. So it would be disadvantage BJP.
Very, very interesting. Let's very quickly go across now to Tamil Nadu and have a look at the numbers there. Tamil Nadu, as I told you, the entire state going to polls there. We have an input coming in from Mr. Achari on the panel. Mr. Achari, you wanted to make a point. Will we get those numbers from Tamil Nadu? Yes.
I want to make a point quickly on Bengaluru.
Yes.
As per 6 p.m., Bengaluru North has polled 48.28% and Bengaluru South 49.30.
True.
And Bengaluru Central 42.43.
Yeah, that's-
See, the statewide it is giving 61.94.
Yeah.
I agree with Jay that 72.13 was just a year back, 2018,
Yeah.
when they elected their chief minister.
Yeah.
So the reason may be that three parties, they were fighting for among themselves to take the pride. And
Yes.
now only bipolar election we are facing. And the second point is tomorrow being Good Friday, then Saturday, Sunday, Bengaluru being the IT sector, and people have gone back to their respective
let
places.
me tell you, sir.
So
you might be
that
right.
is-
Let me tell you that there are 2 or 3 other seats. Mandya 70.23%, well above the state average, almost 9% above the state average. Tumkur is 70.28%. Very, very important seats, both of them. Imran, both above the state average. Nalin.
Not just above the state average, it is going to be higher than what it was in 2014 for these seats, because Mandya in 2014 was 71.5%.
So
now
this is
already
still
at 5 p.m. it's 70,
Yes.
so it's going to go higher.
Absolutely.
Tumkur was 72% in 2014.
Absolutely.
So Tumkur, of course, is where Devegowda is contesting.
Yes.
Mandya is where you have the
That's
wife
right.
of the late actor Ambrish
Yes.
contesting.
Yes.
So both of these are two seats where voters have clearly got galvanized.
Well, this is how the picture looks for the overall state of Karnataka, Bangalore, and of course the various constituencies in Bangalore. Now we are going to go across to Tamil Nadu. Let's quickly go across to Tamil Nadu. Very, very important. Again, we are going to find out what Chennai has been up to. Does the middle class care? Chennai, North Chennai, and these are numbers till 5 p.m. updated figures. So this is as recent as we can get as of now. There you can see Chennai North 59% turnout. As you can see, viewers, in 2014 and 2009, this engagement was greater, 64.9. Here is Central Chennai. Once again, you can see that number sort of languishing behind the number in the past, 56.60. Again, there is a huge difference between, if you look at the 2009 election and the 56.71% here, once again, a big gap. There again, you can see the gap. Overall, Chennai, also viewers, look at this. There is obviously some amount of laxity or apathy, as one would want to summarize that. 63.73 for the overall for the state of Tamil Nadu. Remember, there are also a number of seats, 22 by-elections to assembly seats. So that's also confusing this figure. But there's a Gathbandhan in all these seats pretty much. What does this mean for that?
I think for the Chennai numbers in particular, I think they will probably end up similar to what it was last time.
Similar.
So again,
But
there are
there's a
different
10%
subset.
deficit.
They're different from the state numbers. The state numbers will probably be a little bit lower. What that means
Why
is,
do you think that is?
now, but remember, Rahul, at 73%, you had a landslide last time.
Yes.
So around the 70% mark, it is possible to have a if this gets to about 70%, you can
Okay.
get a.
Well, the closer it gets to this
you can't
mark,
read more into that.
there could be a landslide either which way. Remember, this is a particular state that seesaws. The only time it didn't, when it sent back J. Lalita after about 25 years, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Raja Gopalan, J. Lalita bucked that trend.
Now we can see the absence of Madam Jayalalitha and Karunanidhi because
Perhaps.
the percentage of vote is also a little lesser.
Yes.
Always the city goes for DMK.
Yeah.
But for the last time, the ADMK swept.
Yes.
My understanding now, the lesser percentage of vote means DMK is on the upswing.
DMK is on the upswing. Jay, would you agree with that? Would you agree with that formulation? DMK is on the upswing. Mr. Raja Gopalan sticking his neck out.
I would again go back to a little bit of history. 2014 was the first time in all my living years of memory that the AIADMK contested alone with a very clear message to its cadres that Madam is pitching for Prime Ministership. Therefore, the AIADMK has to get the best tally.
Yeah.
You'll back, and then you can map it to the turnout. There's a huge turnout. Now, there is no AIA. Now, we are looking at a post Karunanidhi and a post Jayalalitha election. If the turnout even dips slightly, it is the more cadre-based party which is going to benefit. And the more cadre-based party of the two is the DMK, and therefore it should benefit.
DMK.
I just want to make a point.
So
He agrees with me.
He agrees with you. Yes.
I want to make an additional point to this that A is the cadre-based thing.
Yeah.
Also, the ADMK vote is a bit confused because
Confused.
the ADMK vote is split with Dinakaran.
That's right.
So people are confused about what is
That's
truly
right.
symbol.
Let me go across
Who is
to our
the real
reporters.
ADMK?
Very good, very valid point. Yes,
Yes.
the AIDMK voter today is confused because the succession battle reigns on in some ways or the other.
The
I want to
TTV
go across to
Dinakaran
Aditi
factor.
Anantnarayan. Aditi,
Right.
that's really another factor. Plus, there is obviously a pull factor away from the general election because there are 22 assembly seats, and if those go towards the DMK, you could have a new chief minister in the state of Tamil Nadu.
If they don't have more than eight of these, then the government will fall.
Well, if they don't have more than 8, you don't even need
Absolutely.
22.
In fact,
Yes.
Rahul, what is very interesting.
Go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
Rahul, what is very interesting is that national political players like the BJP and the Congress have been piggy banking on the Dravidian regional political parties. But today, when I spoke to a lot of people here in the Tuticorin constituency, they really do not care about the BJP or the Congress for that matter. They do not care who the Prime Minister is. They don't care about Narendra Modi. They don't care about Rahul Gandhi. But yes, they do care about J. Lalita, the former Chief Minister. They have a lot of sentiments attached to Karunanidhi as well. And those are the two names that have been doing the rounds in this particular constituency at least. The two prime candidates, Kanimoi and Tamilisai Soundarajan, have also urged people to come out and vote only on the names of Jayalalitha and Karunanidhi. So the entire national level politics probably is not well understood by the people here of Tuticorin. They are still more connected with the Dravidian regional political parties. Again, saying that there has been a little anti-incumbency against the AIDMK government. A lot of sentimental people who were connected with J. Jayalalitha have had that feeling that probably AIDMK and the split in the AIDMK has led to the dilution of the entire ideology of that particular political party. And there is this another segment of voters who have the connect with Karunanidhi. So if the BJP and the Congress really are thinking that people here of at least this constituency are going to vote for them, that
Right.
clearly is not happening, because for now, at least for the people of Tuticorin, it's only the regional political players who matter more than the national level leaders.
Okay, very, very interesting. I just want to go straight across to Kajal. Give me 30 seconds. I'll come out to all the other panelists. Kajal, would you agree that in Sivaganga, where Chidambaram Jr. is contesting, no one is thinking about the Modi government, because Mr. Chidambaram Jr. has made the Prime Minister the biggest issue, saying that he is a victim of the NDA's vendetta?
Well, when we spoke to people here in Shivagangai, one of the main things that they said is that Karti Chidambaram does not have a ground connect and people in Shivagangai don't know him. Yes, H. Raja has been an MLA, and so for that limited one particular MLA constituency in Karaikudi know H. Raja, but beyond that the other 5 constituencies also don't know him. So most of the people here are only going to vote based on which of the Dravidian parties is allying with whom. So if they are traditional AIADMK voters, H. Raja hopes that they will vote for him, and that will ensure his victory, because last time the AIADMK had a swing victory here in Shivagangai. Even today when Karti Chidambaram and P. Chidambaram came out of the election booths, both of them said that it is because we have an alliance that we are very sure of the victory. So none of them seem to be banking on their own credibility, on their own laurels,
Right.
but on the fact that they have allied this time with one or the other Dravidian party.
Well, we're going to take a short break at this point, but when we return, we're going to deep dive some of these turnout figures, viewers, because there is a story, and that story is going to throw up a big surprise. So stay with us. We are back in just a few moments, and we're going to project some numbers right behind me, and they are going to surprise you. So stay on, don't go away. Viewers, very quickly, breaking news coming in. Mayawati making astounding charges in Uttar Pradesh. Remember, 8 seats in Uttar Pradesh have gone to the polls today. 8 out of 8 were held by the Bharatiya Janata Party. This is a big test for the Gathbandhan. Has the BSP been able to transfer votes to the Samajwadi Party and vice versa? There are 4 reserve constituencies there and 4 general constituencies. But here it is, phase 2 of polling is ending in Uttar Pradesh. Mayawati makes a stunning charge. she's gone ahead and said that the poll panel is biased against the Gathbandhan, that it is helping. It is actually helping the BJP's candidates. So, in the past, viewers, Mayawati has blamed the EVMs. Now she's blaming the Election Commission for actually holding and harboring a bias against the BSP and the Samajwadi Party. For the first time, forget the machine, she's going after the men in charge of the Election Commission. And that is stunning. That is absolutely stunning. Many people will say that this is another attempt at confusing. And I want to really ask Nishant Verma if this is something that should even be spoken about in such terms without any evidence or proof. Because what are you doing? You're actually undermining the confidence of the people in the Election Commission, which is really an assault on democracy. Nishant Verma.
I'll frankly say that anyone who is contesting, any party who is recognized and is contesting, if makes a charge, then should be definitely investigated, probed. If found faulty, they should be punished for doing this. But if found correct, then those who did it
should the onus be on the individuals to supply some sort of evidence?
Now, I'm sure if the charge has been made, they will supply some evidence.
Shekhar Iyer,
for example, we saw in Bangalore today.
Is this a desperate
in Bangalore we saw when the charge
Mayawati
was made about a presiding officer.
I remember what happened after the UP
saw
elections. Phase after phase, they started saying that the EVMs were malfunctioning, and then we saw a wave in favor of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Shekhar Iyer, are these sour grapes?
No, I am wondering whether the Chandrababu fever is now catching on to these leaders. Because the tendency is when you're not too sure of what has happened on the ground, you tend to do that. We have seen it in Andhra Pradesh just now, where you attack everything and your own men go and destroy EVMs. Then you turn up here and say that, it's all gone wrong. Now, I don't think Mayawati is so desperate as yet, but the fact that she is making these charges does make one wonder why is she doing it now, because there are another 5 more phases to go.
Mr. Verma wants to quickly.
That's exactly what he said. Another 5 more phases to go. This is not the last phase of UP.
So you start intimidating the Election
Commission. There must be some proper information, only then she would say, because she would not like to be
what was the information when she made the charge that the EVMs were all rigged? Nirja Chaudhary, I want to bring you in on this. So far it was the machines. Now it's the men behind the machines.
Look, I think we need to know about what are the specific charges Mayawati is making. But in general, over the years, over the decades, what we've seen is when politicians, soon after the election, start to complain about this, that and the other, it shows that they may not be doing so well. That's the way it has been read politically. Now, having said that, I think if Mayawati is specific in her charges of some things going wrong, then naturally that has to be looked at very seriously. But Western UP is the Gathbandhan stronghold, should be, given the sheer force of numbers. Muslim, Dalit, Jat, they are in big numbers. And if they combine together, then it's a problem for the BJP. But if they are getting split because of either a strong candidate of the Congress or other factors, then certainly the Gathbandhan candidate does get weakened. So is that happening in the constituencies that went to the polls today? They're very important ones.
If it is happening, then big if.
Mathura, Nagina, Amroha.
Well, we'll be looking at the turnout numbers, but it's important what Nirja Chaudhary is saying. Jay raising his hand. Jay, over to you.
Yeah, Rahul, again, I'm reminded, I think these days politicians have indulged so much in rancor, we need some grace. I want to go back to 1995 assembly elections in Maharashtra when Mr. T.N. Seshan had just showed us all what constitutionally the Election Commission was capable of doing. Expenses were monitored, and to such an extent that Mr. Sharad Pawar himself had to travel by first-class train from Mumbai to rural Maharashtra to start his campaign there. He could not use a chopper because the expense was being, recorded by the Election Commission. Yet politicians, one and all, at that point of time, were graceful enough to acknowledge what Mr. Seshan was doing, the reform and the strength of the Election Commission that he was showing. So I think we need a similar spirit today.
Today it all comes down to spirit, letter, God alone knows what, but the spirit is obviously leading to the writing of the letter. But look at those numbers on your screens, viewers. Voter turnout phase 2 updated till 5 p.m. in Uttar Pradesh is at 58.12. That's what it is. What was it in the last election? We're going to try and project that number. But you can see at the bottom of your screens in Mathura, for instance, right now, it is quite far behind the number that we saw in 2014. Let's look at some of the other seats coming up at the bottom of the screens, viewers. And there you'll get a sense, really, of what's been happening in Uttar Pradesh. Key, Hathras, look at that, 2019, 58.17, lower than the turnout figures for 2014. Now you'll see the other big constituency coming up on your screens. That's Bulandshahr. That was just sort of a tease for us for 30 seconds, but that's disappeared. 8 seats, 58.61, Aligarh 60 and 59. So that number already at parity, exceeding a bit, and perhaps even moving upwards. That's the Aligarh number, 60.20, 59.36. The overall number as of now, slightly in the negative for Uttar Pradesh. Can it bump up, and what does it actually mean? That's the million-dollar question. We'll focus back on the south in just about 5 or 6 minutes, but Neerja Chaudhary, a low turnout generally in Uttar Pradesh, who is it going to favor?
Look, Rahul, again I would say traditionally, conventionally, if the turnout was larger than the last time, it's a vote for change. Otherwise, it is for the incumbent. That's the way it's been read. But I would say increasingly, that may not be the right way to read it, for the simple reason that the elections have become highly contentious, high stake, so both sides are mobilizing their numbers, and in this particular area of UP, I would say the Muslims and the Dalits will come out in very large numbers.
Okay.
And BJP leader told me yesterday this, you know, they are queuing up till 5 o'clock, our people are going away by 1 or 2. So does that mean that they are coming out in larger numbers, the Gathbandhan candidates, and the BJP supporters are not coming out with the same aggression as they put it, as they used to do or did so in 2014.
Okay, Nalin wants to give
in. So does it mean it's a setback for BJP? I would say we shouldn't also overread this.
Don't overread this. These are inconclusive data sets. Don't overread this, says Neerja Chaudhary. Nalin, you have a different theory. Waving your finger.
Because the data can speak both ways. On one side is the analysis that the BJP did better in low turnout areas in the last 3 elections, which have been put out by Pranoy and others, which and you've also shown that analysis. On the other side, there's also the data point that in areas which had showed the biggest spikes compared to earlier, BJP did much better in 2014 because more voters came to it. This is going to be complicated this time. This is also more true of turnout versus BJP victory when they are head-to-head contest between BJP and Congress. When you have a Gathbandhan and in this context, then you should not read. We can't see a direct correlation necessarily.
Well, look, there is nothing exciting about an election when you can't speculate on its outcome.
Absolutely.
Okay, but you can't speculate on its outcome. So I'm going to show you some numbers, viewers. This turnout is a factor. You can't ignore it. The numbers throw up some various types of conclusions. Now we're going to talk about the NDA margin of victory over the UPA. These are massive blocks that we have built over the last, and we analyzed data over the last 3 general elections. So we are talking about 2004, 2009 and 2014. Now, what are we looking at? The NDA margin of victory over the UPA. Now, in seats where the turnout has been about 60%, that's the cutoff. You can see that in high turnout seats, the margin of victory of the NDA over the UPA comes down. It's minus 2.2%. Again, in 2009, went down further to minus 5.8%. But look at this, in 2014, in the high turnout seats, that became reversed. So you had a situation where the margin of victory of the NDA over the UPA increased. And the conversion here is only 14.8%. So in high turnout, the NDA converts over the UPA, but it is not by vast numbers. The number of seats won is still lesser. So this is what Neerja Chaudhary has been telling us. When there is a high turnout, it usually means that the Gathbandhan does better. In this particular situation, you could extrapolate from there because the conversions for the BJP in high turnout seats are lower. But what happens when the turnout is low? What happens, viewers, when the turnout is low? Here the conversion for the NDA or for the BJP to defeat the Congress and other opposition parties actually increases. So the lower the turnout in a particular constituency, the higher the probability of the BJP or the NDA to pull off a victory. And you can see that when the turnout, and we're talking about 60% or less, when the turnout was lesser in 2014, look at the conversion rate, 22.9%. That's what we have to look at, viewers. That is at 22.9%. And overall, if you look at it in high turnout seats, the conversion is only 2.3%, and here it is 10.4%. So there is a statistical correlation there, viewers. Some sort of a correlation. Jay, this is a very interesting figure that we have been able to crack, and it perhaps could yield some predictive value. Jay.
Yeah, see, it does have predictive value. First of all, whenever the turnouts are increasing, you have to remember that it's just not one formation which is pulling out votes. If the turnout is peaking, both the formations are pulling out votes. And that is the reason you see the NDA's margin actually narrowing over there. One thing we have to understand is what sort of polarization is there. Is it a pure two-party contest or it's a pure three-party contest? Typically, these margins will narrow if it's a pure two-party contest. So I do believe it has predictive value. However, the interpretation of it has to be very contextual from state to state, specific from alliance to alliance.
Well, it is very interesting because we've done an overall study across 543 seats over the last 3 general elections, and that's how that number has come out. Whenever there is a high turnout, the conversion of seats towards NDA over UPA is slightly lesser. Whenever there's a low turnout, that particular conversion increases by 5 times almost to about 10.4%. Here, of course, that number grows, and you can see that conversion rate, 25 out of 56 and then 31 out of 56. That's the pickup. So when the turnout is low, the BJP will have a lesser conversion average, and when it is higher, the conversion average increases. It picks up more seats, and that's the maths, viewers. Over 3 elections that we've been able to reduce. Whether it holds, whether it tells you something, we don't know. But we have a view. Is it a counter view coming in? Sir.
Okay, I just wish to make myself understand that whatever you're showing is basically Congress and BJP calculation. Because when you're talking of NDA and UPA, yes. Because whatever you're showing here is of last 3 elections or 2 elections, that is primarily 10 years of UPA and NDA.
Yeah, sure.
So whatever is coming out lately, when you say 22% lower turnout, favoring NDA, that actually is only when it is
I am not suggesting that this is
the data. I am talking about the data.
This is just.
I am talking of the data. It is suggesting anti-incumbency.
No, this is just a trend.
To me,
Nishant, it's just a trend. This is not a prediction. We can't predict on the back of this.
It's a trend. I agree, it's a trend.
Yes,
but it is a trend.
Suman C. Raman wants to come.
No.
Okay.
You can't predict on the back of this.
Suman C. Raman.
Rahul, 2 quick points. One, you can't make predictions on the back of this because at various points different governments were in power and therefore it is not comparable. Second, the index of opposition unity, IOU, that is a very, very important factor which will determine the result. So, for instance, in 2014, you would know what would have been the result had the SP and BSP stuck together even at the height of the Modi wave. So I think that it's completely, going with a turnout number and using it to predict without, actually knowing which group has actually voted is pretty meaningless. Unless you have data which says that these particular social groups voted in larger numbers than these particular social groups, it is impossible for us to make any kind of meaningful conclusion from the turnout data per se, especially because of IOU not being factored in and the incumbent being different at various points of time. So I think that you have to keep these two factors in mind.
Okay, Vivek Nayan.
Dr. Sumat, you're looking at the numbers from Tamil Nadu right now. We also have the BJP spokesperson and the DMK spokesperson in Chennai. Interestingly, the numbers doesn't seem to be coming anywhere close to the 2014 numbers. Last heard till 5:40, 5 o'clock, we are told that it's 61.52 in the whole of Tamil Nadu, while it was 73.5 in the last election. So if it is well short, that anti-incumbency that you would have thought, or perhaps more on what we had suggested here, lesser number of votes, meaning the establishment here in this case AIDMK plus BJP, will they be having a slight edge, Dr. Sumant?
It will end up at more or less the same.
Okay,
the state CEO actually gave a figure of 63.5 as of 5 p.m. and you must remember that one constituency the voting goes on till 8 o'clock in Madurai, and the rest of the constituencies it's gotten over at 6, but people were still in queues. So clearly it is expected to go up to at least plus or minus 2% of last time.
Okay.
Yes, it's not significantly going to be higher than last time.
Dispassionately the data throws in obviously a very mathematical formulation. We are not talking about voter preferences here. We're just looking at what the data has thrown out. On an average, what it has told us over 15 years, over 3 Lok Sabha elections, this is what happens. In high turnout seats, the conversion, the NDA margin of victory over the UPA is usually lower, and that in low turnout seats tends to be greater, and therefore there is a greater ability to win that seat. Now, whether it holds out in this election, whether the factors have changed on the ground, whether it differs from state to state, obviously every election has its own story to tell. But I just want to quickly bring in a big problem that has appeared today, once again in Tamil Nadu, cash seizures by the carloads. And I want to show you those pictures just from today, viewers. It's a massive problem. And Shekhar Iyer had a very interesting theory. He says maybe the turnout is a bit depressed in Tamil Nadu because there has been a crackdown on this cash.
Because power cuts did not take place and the covers did not go out. As they say in Tamil, Pana varla vote podla. I didn't get money, so I didn't vote. Because there is a good possibility, but I am saying this at the risk of sounding too cynical.
You're sounding too cynical. I think you are sounding too cynical, but you know the psychology. You know the psychology. You've covered Tamil Nadu. You perhaps lived there, and perhaps you know what goes on. And I want to bring in the AMMK here, Mr. Tamil. Mr. Tamil, there's a problem because one of your candidates was found with a lot of cash, and there are charges that perhaps, and there was an election that was also cancelled, rescinded. And I want to ask you, sir, is it cash? You have no conviction, only cash to fall back on?
The question is put to whom?
To you, sir. To you. AAMK. The Amma faction of the DMK.
No. AMMK candidate. No, Dinakaran. I am from Dinakaran.
That's right.
You're posing a wrong question to me. Yes, sir. Our candidate, where it's not resigned. My constituency, in our constituency, where
the election
candidate
was
is
rescinded.
contesting, the election.
No, has that not happened?
Money was
in
not
the constituency.
Rescinded, but not because.
Teni.
Yes,
Teni. Sorry, I got that wrong. Explain, sir.
Friend of DMK candidate.
But money has been found, sir. Money has been found.
Around 1 crore.
Yeah.
And one, I think around 30 odd
it was
lakhs.
taken by, which place you're talking about? Vellore? The election was stopped.
Teni, sir, Teni.
In Vellore, money was,
Teni.
recovered from a...
Antipatti,
No, the story is, actually, AMMK people, correct. AMMK, the office at Teni, Antipatti particularly, It's our people who are the persons called the flying squad to catch the people who are packing the money in the upstairs. Which building is owned by a ADMK functionary. When the police force came, they wanted to chase away AMMK people, and there was a melee. They shot in air to disperse the crowd, and there was a power cut.
That's right.
And the ADMK people and the cash was taken away by the flying squad. And it was not, the cash was not seized from the AMMK office, or it was not connected with our people.
That's right, I stand corrected. So I want to ask Mr. Nalin Tirupati, Mr. Tirupati, the AIDMK under the scanner in one particular constituency. But I wanted to ask you very clearly, raids don't seem to happen against AIDMK candidates, don't seem to happen against BJP candidates, but only the opposition candidates. How is that possible? None of your candidates, sir, have cash?
Rahul,
they only have conviction?
Rahul, the EC and the income tax operate. No, see, only on prima facie they have gone there. Raids happened during, Tamil Nadu is the largest cash crisis where it has happened. So definitely you cannot blame that. Only big stars like, Durai Murugan, Kanimuri, it was highlighted. And in Durai Murugan's issue, it was very clearly accepted by the person belonging to DMK that it was meant for cash distribution, cash for votes. In Satur, where AMMK, there is Dinagaran faction, also a candidate was found with a huge cash, around 50 lakhs cash. In Andipatti, Theni, AMMK
so only
did the same
opposition,
thing.
sir,
So
only the opposition is corrupt. Let me bring in Mr. Let me bring in Mr. Sumansi Raman. Mr. Sumansi Raman,
the
narrative is only one side is corrupt, the other side is sort of full of conviction, the other side is living off cash and swaying election on the back of cash. No ideology,
Look,
nothing,
Rahul,
just cash.
Look, Rahul, everybody
knows
very well
there
that
is no
three different
anti-incumbency in
parties
Tamil Nadu.
distributed
No
significant amounts of cash in this election.
Okay.
Look, even a child will tell you, wherever you go in Tamil Nadu, 3 different parties distributed cash, at least 3 different parties, and possibly a fourth also in some constituencies. So I think it is absurd to say that only one group was distributing and another group did not distribute cash. And
Vivek, you were there. What did you see?
I think you asked
Is there
It pains to see the kind of politics
before we
which
wrap
is.
up? Yes.
It pains to see the kind of politics that's been practiced in Tamil Nadu right now. One even, in fact, goes on to think that perhaps booth capturing may have been more transparent than this. You go out, give monies, vouchers, go to the grocer, show him this paper, and you'll get groceries worth 500 rupees. The kind of ways in which, and some of these agencies which deliver food to your home, they are being sourced to give money. Newspaper have 500 rupee notes in the morning when you wake up. It depends whether it's Namadu MGR or it's Dinakaran or which newspaper you subscribe to or you get free. Now, it's a pitch that we are seeing in Tamil Nadu, and all the 3 major parties which are right now being spoken of are equally guilty. But more importantly, the raids more or less happening more towards the DMK and Amar group.
What's the hidden factor here? Is it incumbency, anti-incumbency, or is it money power? Certainly it's not muscle power, but definitely it could be money power, as Vivek Narayan tells us. We'll take a short break. We're back. Navika Kumar will take you through some explosive news coming out of the East. Viewers, big controversy, big Times Now investigation becoming the national talking point. We come back with that. Don't go away.